Your brain does not experience chronic loneliness as a mere emotional state. It processes social isolation as a physical life or death emergency, actively shrinking your memory centers while turning up the volume on your internal threat alarms. Right now, without your conscious permission, a brain starving for human connection is systematically rewiring its own architecture. It alters your neurochemistry, warps your perception of every facial expression you see, and slowly degrades your ability to form new memories. You are about to discover the exact biological mechanism behind why feeling alone alters the physical structure of your mind, and how your nervous system trapped you in a cycle of isolation designed for an ancient world. What you are actually dealing with is a cascade of structural alterations centered around three critical brain networks. With the hippocampus, which handles memory consolidation, the amygdala, which monitors environmental threat, and the default mode network, which governs your internal narrative and self-reflection. When social input drops below a biological threshold, these regions begin to shift their shape, their connectivity, and their chemical balance. Think of your nervous system as a sophisticated biological radar station. For hundreds of thousands of years, being separated from the tribe meant immediate, violent death by predators or starvation. Isolation was not a lifestyle choice, it was a lethal condition. To keep you alive, evolution installed a primal panic button in your brainstem and limbic system. When you feel disconnected, your brain assumes you are standing vulnerable in the dark outside the safety of the perimeter fire. So what does it do? It turns up the sensitivity of your radar. It makes you hypervigilant. In a landmark study published in 2020 by neuroscientist Dr. Nathan Spreng and his research team, scientists analyzed neuroimaging data from over 40,000 adults using the United Kingdom Biobank. What they discovered was astonishing. The brains of chronically lonely individuals did not look passive or depleted. They showed marked structural differences in the default mode network, the intricate web of brain regions that fires up when you are daydreaming, remembering the past, or thinking about others. In lonely brains, the default mode network was physically larger and more strongly wired together, while the volumetric density of the hippocampus, the center of learning and spatial memory, showed clear signs of degradation. Your brain was literally attempting to compensate for the lack of real-world social interaction by building a denser internal social simulation inside your own head, pulling resource allocation away from everyday memory processing. If you are sitting there right now, realizing how often your mind wanders into deep, exhausting internal monologues when you are alone, hit pause for just 3 seconds and subscribe to Habit Decoded, and drop a quick comment below, letting me know if you have noticed your memory feeling foggier during periods of isolation. Sharing your experience tells the platform algorithm that this neuroscience actually matters, which allows our small research team to keep spending hundreds of hours translating complex neurobiology into free breakdown videos for you. Now, let us jump right back into what happens to that tissue. When your hippocampus begins to show reduced volume from prolonged baseline stress hormones like cortisol, your daily brain performance changes in ways you might never suspect. You misplace your keys more often. You struggle to pull words from memory during a conversation. You read a page of a book 3 times and realize you have absorbed nothing. It is not that you are getting older or losing your intelligence. It is that your biological machine is running a continuous background program that consumes massive amounts of metabolic energy just to monitor for imaginary threats. Have you ever walked into a room of strangers and instantly felt like everyone was silently judging you? That is not low self-esteem. That is hypervigilance in action. This brings us to the profound revelation of how isolation warps your daily life. When you are socially connected, your brain operates in what neuroscientists call a baseline state of safety. Your prefrontal cortex easily regulates your emotional responses, and your amygdala stays quiet. Neutral social cues are registered as neutral. A colleague walking past you without saying good morning is just someone who is busy or distracted. But in a lonely brain, the neurochemical baseline completely flips. But in 2015, Dr. Stephanie Cacioppo conducted groundbreaking neuroimaging studies examining the speed at which lonely brains process social cues. Using electrical brain monitoring, her team found that the lonely brain detects potential social threats in the environment within just 150 milliseconds of stimulus exposure. That is faster than the blink of an eye and significantly faster than a healthy, socially connected brain processes the exact same information. Before your conscious mind even has time to analyze what happened, your threat detection hardware has already flagged that brief micro-expression on your friend's face as hostility, rejection, or contempt. The tragic irony of this biological wiring is devastating. The very system designed to protect you from isolation actively forces you deeper into it. When your brain is primed for threat, your behavior subtly changes. You adopt a defensive posture. You speak with a slightly guarded tone. You stop making warm eye contact. You pull back before anyone has a chance to reject you. To the outside world, this defensive armor looks like coldness, indifference, or social awkwardness. People naturally take a step back from that guarded energy, which your hypervigilant amygdala then interprets as absolute proof that everyone is distant and untrustworthy. The cycle seals itself shut, a hidden biological feedback loop turning social longing into self-imposed exile. Look at the difference in daily life. A person with a well-connected neural network finishes a normal conversation, chuckles to themselves, and moves on with their afternoon. Their default mode network remains quiet, allowing their prefrontal cortex to focus on deep work, learning, and creative problem-solving. But a person whose neural pathways have been rewired by chronic isolation enters a post-interaction tailspin. Their default mode network goes into overdrive, replaying every spoken sentence, dissecting tone variations, and convincing them that they failed the social interaction. Your brain is consuming precious glucose and oxygen to solve a problem that does not actually exist in reality. It is exhausting, isn't it? So how do we break an ancient biological protocol that is firing off false alarms inside your skull? How do you signal to your hippocampus and amygdala that the environment is safe again? You do not do it by forcing yourself to become an outgoing extrovert overnight. You do it by systematically feeding your nervous system specific biological countersignals. F-words, you must utilize microdoses of low-stakes parasympathetic social contact. Your threat detection system does not need a dramatic, deep emotional connection to begin dialing down its alarm system. It simply needs low-risk, positive social evidence, a brief, warm exchange with a local barista, a 5-second moment of genuine eye contact with a neighbor while nodding hello, or a short comment back and forth in an online community around a shared interest. These tiny interactions trigger microscopic pulses of oxytocin and dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, acting like cold water poured onto an overheated amygdala. You are retraining your rapid brain pathways to recognize that humans in your immediate environment are safe. Second, implement the neutral attribution protocol. The next time you feel that familiar spike of social anxiety or sense that someone is snubbing you, immediately pause and challenge the raw electrical signal. Recognize that your brain's threat radar is running on elevated sensitivity due to isolation. Force your logical prefrontal cortex to generate 3 non-threatening, completely mundane explanations for their behavior. Maybe they lost their keys. Maybe they are stressed about money. Maybe they simply did not see you. By intentionally supplying these non-lethal interpretations, you intercept the default mode network before it can launch an internal replay loop. Third, leverage the power of auditory and physical synchronization. Evolutionary neuroscience shows that our ancestors bonded not just through deep conversations, but through shared physical rhythms, walking together, singing, working side by side, or listening to shared cadence. When you engage in synchronous group activities, whether that is a group fitness class, a casual walking club, or even singing along to a live music recording, your brain releases endogenous opioids. This chemical cascade signals directly to your deep limbic structures that you are once again part of a synchronized herd, instantly lowering system-wide inflammation and stabilizing stress hormone secretion. Right now, without your conscious permission, a brain starving for human connection is systematically rewiring its own architecture. If you take nothing else from this discovery, remember this shift in perspective. Your feelings of isolation, your social exhaustion, and your foggy memory are not personal flaws or proof that you are fundamentally broken. They are the elegant, hyperprotective actions of an ancient brain machine trying to keep you alive in a world it was never designed to navigate. You were not born awkward or distant. Your nervous system simply locked the doors to keep the wolves out. Now that you hold the neurological key, you can begin unlocking those doors one small, conscious step at a time. When did you last feel isolated? If this breakdown gave you a clear map of what has been happening inside your own mind, click that like button right now as a practical digital bookmark. That way, the next time your brain starts misinterpreting a neutral interaction as a personal rejection, you can easily come back to this exact neuroscience blueprint and recalibrate your perspective. You now hold the hidden biological instruction manual for how chronic isolation reshapes your gray matter, warps your threat perception, and alters your memory circuits. But while your brain is constantly adapting to your social environment, there is another silent neurological loop executing right now that quietly dictates your energy levels, your motivation, and your daily self-control before you even wake up in the morning. Make sure you subscribe to Habit Decoded right now so you do not miss that next revelation the moment our team finishes decoding the real science behind it.